Um, so, with that, the topic of discussion for today is actually around speech, is a manifestation, shabda, or sound, right, which has its source in the divine or supreme consciousness. The reason I wanted to talk about it is because in our teachings we have the four different types of speech, and I was reading about it, but I realized it has such a big connection to how we interact with society on a day-to-day basis and how we use words to create impact in both our lives and in the lives of people around us, right? So when you're interacting with your family, your friends, people at the workplace, the power of communication is so critical because anything you say, the way you say it, the words you use have the kind of impact. So before we get into how it impacts, our lives individually, I wanted to share. So there are four different aspects to speech according to our Vedic teachings: para, pashyanti, madhyama, and vaikhari. The way to understand is para is the divine source of speech, the shabda that we talked about. Vaikhari is what we do, right? Speaking through words, through our mouths, using the physical parts of our body and physically manifesting. So the way I'm talking to everybody right now, that is Vaikhari. It's the grossest form of speech. Now, in between, there's a bridge called Pashyanti and Madhyama. So, Pashyanti is basically the first step of speech going from a formless to a form. So, they call it Ichha Shakti. The three Shaktis, as we know, Ichha, Jnana, Kriya Shakti. So, Pashyanti is considered the Ichha Shakti, the desire to manifest. It's usually in the form, it's a very intuitive form of speech. It does not have words, which is Vaikhari, which is gross. It has a very, very subtle, intuitive form of speech. And then you go into Madhyama. Madhyama is a little more grosser. It's related to thoughts, that eventually crystallize into words, into Vaikhari. So the main takeaway, especially when you've heard of spiritual leaders who have done a lot of sadhana, the reason we are able to connect with them and the reason it strikes a chord within us is because their Vaikhari is completely attached to the para. The bridge between para and Vaikhari is almost closed. So all that to say, when they speak, they are essentially manifesting that divine power. If you have a certain guru or very spiritually realized beings in our culture, when they speak, it is the result, they are essentially manifesting that divine source of knowledge. So the more sadhana one does, especially mantra sadhana, the distance between para and Vaikhari starts becoming closer. So when you speak, your Vāk Shakti or your Vāk Siddhi is born out of that. I do japa, that it is such an important technique that our spiritual teachers have passed on and our rishis have passed on, which is a core to creating this type of spiritual power or speech within us. But also when we speak to other people, what is the level of awareness we bring into our words? So when we talk to our own family members or our friends, or when we're out in society, when we're at work, do we just say things? Are we so focused just on Vaikhari that we just, it's a bunch of words that come out there? Or are we truly mindful about the words that we're speaking and the impact it has? The more we do sadhana, whatever the sadhana is, it builds or increases that level of awareness. You're thinking more, you're spending more time on Madhyama at least before we dive into Vaikhari and say things. You're pausing before you speak. You then start to become very selective about what you say, how you say it, and to who you say it to. Is that person willing to receive? Is that person available to understand what you're saying? It tremendously helps in, making sure that we're spending a lot more time introspectively, being more mindful in our speech. So that's what I wanted to share. And, I know we're a little bit over time, but if everyone can stay a little bit, I would love to just hear, your experience, especially when it comes to conversations and, speaking and communication. If you've ever, gone through this exercise of, okay, I need to be more mindful. Maybe it's at work, maybe it's with family or friends. Would love to just hear from the group.
Question for you. In these 4 steps, where does tone come in? Tone you use for communication, where does that come in?
Tone is associated with the Vaikhari. It's gross because it's using our vocal cords, right? When I say hey, that's using my vocal cords. When I say hey, that's also using my vocal cords. When we are in Madhyama Pashyanti, we're not using words. Whereas no language, there's no words. In Para, there's no distinction between speaker, speech, words, language, nothing. It's all one. It's divine source. It's unified. There's no manifestation. Tone is a manifestation that we human beings use using our vocal cords. So that is Vaikhari.
It's very deep, what you're saying, and it makes a lot of sense. It's just that I feel like by the time you go from Para to Vaikhari, it's probably a few seconds and it's like it's gone. Even before you know it, it's gone.
I don't think we can even know that we are going from Para to Vaikhari. Because to know that you're going from Para to Vaikhari, you are a realized being. Because essentially you're manifesting Para directly into Vaikhari. You're speaking the will of the divine source. When you speak, it'll happen. That's the power you have. That is the Vāk Siddhi you have. A lot of us still function in Vaikhari. I'm speaking, you heard me, great. You didn't hear me, it doesn't matter, I'll keep speaking. So where we need to, for us in our daily life is more, let us take a little step back. Before I speak, maybe in the Madhyama, I would, through meditation, through awareness, I think a little bit. I pause a little bit before I speak. But truly for sadhaks, through sadhana, it is true. When you do years and years of sadhana, you do go quieter. You are able to access para. You are able to access para. And this is everybody who's attained that state are able to say it. So it comes with a lot of sadhana and intense practice for sure.
I'm able to be more empathetic when I'm speaking to outsiders, people at work or friends. But when it comes to family, the Vaikhari hits really fast. Like if you're directly going there and you're just... so I'm trying to lengthen the the time span to maybe like 90 seconds or something. I read somewhere that especially when you're very stimulated and you want to say something, just stop and think. So these Mokshadam classes have really helped me get there. Honestly, I think I've become so much better my speech and think about what I want to say. Especially with my husband, I'm not there yet, but
it's a very relevant, beautiful point you've raised. I think all of us face it, with family, because we have the freedom and liberty to be how we want to be, express what we want to express. We are accepted and loved. Of course, in the workplace, it's somebody else. We maintain a sense of objectivity. The more practice we have, empathy plays a big role. So when we are having tough discussions or arguments, let's say with our loved ones, empathy plays a role in understanding, oh, what is it that you're feeling? Where are you coming from? Let me think. This is how I've always felt about this topic, but let me think about this topic from your perspective. It is a little bit of a pause, but yes, you're right. That comes with practice. It's very difficult to do with our family members, right? Because we're so close.
Beautifully explained the 4 steps. Like we never realize it, but because in general, like I'm just trying to see, because even your body language before choosing any word, that becomes important. You can basically judge like what I'm going to speak or what other person is going to speak. When your thoughts process is started, or like even you are listening some, like if I'm listening somebody, my body already started reacting to it. Okay. When your body language reflects part of the para, or it becomes part of the Vaikhari, you think and you react. When your thought is started, or your body language started changing, so this part of para, I guess, or it becomes a Vaikhari.
When it's still in the thought formation, it's more around Madhyama. So the part before Vaikhari, before I'm manifested. Because we first think about something, right? First is the thought in our mind, which is the Jnana Shakti. So Madhyama is actually Jnana Shakti. Ichcha Shakti, Jnana Shakti, and Vaikhari is Kriya Shakti. The gross, the creation of that thought. The concept originally is applied to sadhana, Vāk Siddhi. So the speech siddhi. So when rishis used to meditate, or when rishis have given us mantras, it is the para that has manifested as Pashyanti, where they're able to see a mantra in their sadhana. The mantra is, when we get mantras, the mantras we chant that are given in our Vedas are given by rishis who are able to see the mantra in their meditation practice. and then were able to form that into words and give it to us. That is the Shruti. That's how we have gotten our Vedas. It's not anyone's written somewhere or past. It has come from the Supreme. It's come from the Para. When you read about this, you'll know the impact of the speech. But what you're describing is absolutely right, Pradeepji. The way it manifests in our life, whether I'm sitting listening like this or I'm like, I'm like, wow, wow, I'm like able to pay attention. You're saying the body language. That is all a manifestation at the gross level, complete gross level. Our body is completely gross. It's what you're thinking, maybe mentally, your thoughts, that's more subtle, subtle level, which is again the madhyama. So in our sadhana, in our day to day, I'm not talking about serious sadhaks who spend 4 or 5 hours doing sadhana every day. That is a different type, but I'm just saying day to day when we do, the focus is more how can I step a little bit back from Vaikhari and be in that thought space and try to alter. So if I'm going down a path of compulsive thinking, it is a result of my conditioning, years and years of conditioning where I believed acting and doing a certain way was the only way to do it. But now because I'm able to do meditation or yoga or sadhana or japa, whatever it is, something in my brain or so there's an inner voice telling me, hey, stop, step back, take a pause, hang on, we can do this differently. That thinking, that shift essentially is your madhyama. The one before that, Pashyanti, which is closer to para, that is deep, deep, deep sadhana, where you really gain that intuitive power. And all of us have it to some degree, right? We have intuitions about things. You can't explain some things. Hey, I really felt it. You can't explain it to somebody else. Why you felt it, take the logic. We can't do that because it's intuitive to our most subtle self, which only you know. We say gut feeling, but it is true intuitive power, which all of us have at some level. But through sadhana, that intuitive power becomes stronger. It takes over your life till you reach a point where para takes over your life. That is essentially it. You are not doing anything. Para is doing everything through you. Simple. So that is the goal, right, for all of us. But you're right, everything you said is what we all manifest in our day-to-day lives.
The moment you enter into your anybody's house or any room, anything, nobody has spoken even a single word, but you already started reacting and you started feeling whether you have to calm down or you have to it's just thing the way it is explained by our rishis that becomes important. We know some of these things, but never thought that way, to be honest.
If you have to be a little bit authoritative and then you end up in disputes, like that time, how to control yourself that you don't come out with any harsh words. You try to be mindful, but still how to control that.
I'll give you my personal perspective is don't to control it, because the more we try to control it, it's hard. But I think to your point, when we realize that the person in front of us is basically another soul that's on its own journey, whether it's at work or in our own families, and I'm practicing this with my children. I want them to do certain things, this, that, this, and then I'm like, you're a 3-year-old. I'm a mom who's just having some issues trying to get you to do what I want. But I have to accept that, even with our children, with our own family members, you are a jiva that is in your own journey. And we have come together on this planet to work out our karmas in a certain way. We have decided to come to work together for whatever karmic reason we are there. We are here to work it out. So what is the smoothest possible way to reach where we want to be? And a lot of this has to do with detaching yourself from the situation. And I know, in our Spandan classes, satsangs, we talk about karma yoga. Is what are we really attached to? Is it really important that you come out winning an argument by using certain words, or is it important we get the work done? That means I have to approach you slightly differently. Maybe a little bit of a hit to my ego, but guess what? We're going to get the work done and we all can move on with our lives. So these are things I think even, in the workplace, we go through these leadership courses. We're all taught how to manage different personalities. We're not actively trying to, I guess, control, but more to say just being aware. The level of awareness that when it comes into your day to day, it changes. And sometimes it's not a, hey, tomorrow I'm going to do this, I'm going to become more aware. It takes a little bit of time and the awareness creeps in. All of a sudden, you feel like I was on the ground floor, now I'm on the second floor. Oh, I can see a lot of things that I didn't know about when I was on the ground floor. Now it makes sense why certain things were happening or why I was acting a certain way. So the level of awareness, as you go up, you're able to see the bigger picture. You're able to see all the moving parts. And again, the ground floor, second floor, 10th floor, like the awareness example will also take us a lot of time to talk about. But essentially, all that to say, I think, it's practice. It's true practice, like going to the gym and doing anything else. And it's a progress over perfection. We cannot be perfect. We are still going to react. Sadhana is not a magic bullet, does not take away everything, solve all your problems. You do years of sadhana and wow, everything is solved. No, still all the neuroses, all the hang-ups, everything that you have will continue to be. All you know is you're aware of it. You know which landmines you're not supposed to cross. You don't get blown up. And you try to navigate this world very safely. But they all exist. They don't go away. But it makes a huge impact on the subtle self. Gross mein, you can't see that much. But the subtle causal body, when you do sadhana, massive impact.
Thanks to Moksham, because I can see a big difference. And I think calm mind can do much better than.
It's when we stop doing sadhana, we actually realize what we're missing more than when we do it and we realize, oh, these are the benefits. It's when we stop, we're like, oh, my back is starting to hurt. Oh, wait a second, I have not done yoga in 1 week. Oh, I'm so irritated. Oh, wait a second, I have not meditated in a while. So it's when we stop doing things, I think sometimes we realize. But I know this is a deep topic and I appreciate everyone staying a little bit over time and, engaging. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend, everybody.